Hey folks, welcome to the Mike Lopez TV Show. I'm your host, ACMike. We'll bring you all things Atlantic City and our local region. Politics, sports, dining, entertainment, and so much more. On tonight's show, our first guest is Senator Michael Testa of the New Jersey Legislative District 1. After that, we'll have Grant Tapper, Business Development Associate for Tower Investments at Showboat Hotel Resort, and the founder of KobraKicks. So stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is Senator Michael Testa Jr., serving the 1st Legislative District of New Jersey. Senator Testa, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Listen, so glad that you're coming out. I know you're a busy guy, family, all that good stuff happening. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, so to speak, because we do like to eat, let's talk a little bit about Michael Testa, where it came from, and where we're at now, and the passion for what you're doing, public service.
Sure. So, I graduated Vineland High School in 1994, and I went to Villanova University. Then I went to Villanova Law School, and my grandfather was still alive then, and he was the first elected mayor of the city of Vineland. So public service is in my blood somewhat. And he always told me when I was growing up, he said, Mikey, you got to give back to the city that made our family. And that really stuck with me. So when I started out as a young lawyer, I got on the board of the Vineland Downtown Improvement District just to help out the downtown of the city of Vineland. Then I really got involved in Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Cumberland and Salem County, and I got involved in the Cumberland County Republican Organization. That's how I got involved in politics, really behind the scenes. I was always told it's better to be the kingmaker than the king, and I never thought I'd run for public office. I always thought I just would help out the organization. And then in late 2018, I was asked by then Senate Minority Leader Tom Kean Jr., who my family has somewhat of a connection with going back to Governor Kean's days when my dad was the Cumberland County chairman for Governor Kean's re-election campaign in 1985. I was a young boy at the time. When Senator Kean gave me a call and said, you ought to think about running for the state Senate. And I thought about it for about 30 seconds and said yes. And here I am. In November of 2019, I won an election along with two great gentlemen, Assemblyman Antoine McClellan and Assemblyman Eric Simonson, two great guys.
Yeah, and some of the names you just mentioned there, two great guys, like you said. Simonson, nice wrestling background as well, which is near and dear to my heart. And then when you talk Vineland's always with that. I grew up on the west end of the county in Hamilton, Mullica Township area, and lots of friends out that way. So
sure.
Listen, when you talk about that, Senator, as well, and I just want to touch on, we're sitting here, Stockton University, a lot of students taking classes in our, what you're talking about, public service and whatnot. I think it's so important. At one time, my father was old school, sort of like when the politicians or folks were coming around in August and September and October, knocking on the door, kid, this. And I was like, Pop, why are you doing it? As a young guy, I was like, well, why are you doing it? You got to be able to talk to these folks. They're the ones that, help you with your taxes, get the lights fixed, the streets, and whatever it may be. He didn't want us to, let them go. We'll vote in November or whatnot. But it came to a point where I realized as a teenager, Senator, that going to these meetings, whether it was a council meeting or whatever it may be, an association, when the folks, the men and women that were serving the community were there, I may not always got the answer of the person during the public portion that we wanted, but someone always came up and said, listen, here's my number, let's talk about it. And I want to encourage people to do that in our little platform we have here too, to get involved. You don't necessarily have to run meetings, showing up.
I want people to be involved whether they're on my side of the aisle, which is preferable, or on the other side of the aisle, to be quite honest with you. It means that they're involved in a civic association or involved in what's going on. So many people, go through life and they're not necessarily informed of what's going on in their backyard. And, Tip O'Neill said all politics are local. So I encourage everybody to really get involved in their backyard first. One of the things that I don't necessarily appreciate is when someone is telling me how to do my job and I know that they're really not involved at all at any level. If someone is involved, whether it's at a neighborhood organization, a city organization, a county organization, then I know they have what we all call skin in the game, right? If someone has skin in the game, then guess what? They've invested their time, their energy, their blood, sweat, tears, maybe even hard-earned dollars, then guess what? They have their voices going to be heard. Everyone's voice is heard, but those folks really can step up to the plate, and you give them a lot of credence for sure.
It's like anything, Senator Testa. Show up. You know what I mean? Whatever it be if you're running or if you're just being a good citizen in the community. Listen,
so hold on one second. Yeah. You just said something about showing up. Yeah. I have a statement. I said you got to get up, you got to show up, and you got to speak up. And if you don't do those three things, guess what? You could have the smartest voice in the world. If you're on your couch or in your basement on your laptop, it doesn't matter. We need to be able to hear your voice. I want people's input. I want people to tell me, hey, I thought what you did there was a good thing. I also want constructive criticism. Right. Hey, you know what? This isn't the way I would have done it. Maybe you should have gone in this direction. I appreciate that from people.
No, and I hear you, and I'm going to laugh a little bit about this, but it's serious when we're saying this. I live on the boardwalk out in Atlantic City. I have the same crews I see as I go ride my bike or take a walk, sitting on the benches, doing their thing. I'm like, I'm not going to sit there because all they're good. But I keep trying to tell these gentlemen, some of the folks, come to the meeting. Just come with me, and then you'll be able to voice yourself. So love it. I stamp it.
Look, and Atlantic City has some struggles, right? So imagine if everybody who had all of the solutions, as I always say, the smartest individuals in the state of New Jersey are at a counter at a diner solving all of the world's problems, right? Imagine if they left and came with those solutions and had their voices heard. We'd all be pulling in the same direction a little bit better. We'd all know who each other is. You know those individuals who are on those benches who would probably have all of the world's solutions from that bench, but if it never leaves the bench, how's it helping the city?
Love it. It's exactly right. You put it right on point. So, hey, let's jump into some of this information we have here. Jersey comes first. Let's talk about that a little bit, what your platform is.
Sure. So, in 2017, when Governor Murphy was running for office, he talked about making New Jersey a sanctuary state. And I was at the facility where he announced that. It was at the debate that he had with then Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno, and it was met with a standing ovation. And I looked around and I thought I was in, bizarro world at the time. And I said, that's not a good idea to make New Jersey a sanctuary state. And I told people back then, and I hate to be in this position of saying, I told you so. New Jersey is now a border state. We are suffering a lot of the ills of being a sanctuary state. We have become a magnet for illegal aliens, which puts a strain on our infrastructure, whether it's our schools, whether it's our healthcare system, it's our police and fire, our ambulance system. We have to be mindful of the citizens. I've often talked about the American Express card commercial of the 1980s, saying membership has its privileges. So should citizenship. Citizenship should absolutely have its privileges. And I can tell you to a T, whether a person has an R next to their name, a D next to their name, or is an independent, every single person is complaining about the border issues that we are facing in the United States of America. And you might say, hey, how is that affecting New Jersey? Well, how is fentanyl, which is coming across our border, affecting each and every one of our lives and our families? We all have a family member or a friend who is going through substance use disorder. That's a very real issue. So I think it's time that we put New Jersey first and place the citizens, the hardworking, tax-paying, employed citizens of the state of New Jersey first.
I mean, I hear what you're saying.
Pretty simple.
We live here, right, and this is what we love, and the reason why we're here as a Jersey citizen. I mean, we may complain, but we do stay, and majority of the people that I know that move away, they usually come back for some reason or another.
Usually the food, which we've talked about a lot, by the way.
Yes, we're going to talk more about that off air, too, about the food. How do we protect our homes? There's a problem, I know, in my town in which I live with squatters and whatnot. And I know that you're on the forefront of this. I mean, I have a friend who had to go through 6 months to have someone removed that didn't belong in that house. And I just scratched my head and just in disbelief.
Well, so what your friend went through was the civil court system. What Senator Steinhardt, who was the prime sponsor, I'm the co-prime sponsor of a squatters bill, an anti-squatters bill, would make it a criminal matter. So this way it would be much easier for someone who either owns the home or is, the landlord of a home or apartment or condominium to have those individuals charged criminally and removed. I actually had this in my law office a number of years ago. Someone was a good Samaritan and let someone come into their home who then wouldn't leave. It took that individual 7 months to have a person who had absolutely no rights to her home, was not on the lease, was not renting, wasn't a paramour or anything else, a loved one of the individual who owned the home. It took her 7 months to have this individual leave who had absolutely zero rights because they had to go through the civil court system. And in New York, what we've seen is an atrocity. And we've all seen that one video of that illegal alien, by the way, coaching individuals to come into other people's homes so that they could have squatters' rights, which is extremely dangerous, leads to lawlessness. We need to respect law and order in the United States and in the state of New Jersey. And that's why Senator Steinhardt and I are at the forefront of that issue.
Listen, when you talk about bizarre worlds that we even have to go through something like that, or someone who owns a landlord or whatnot, and we'll talk more about that down the road when we get back on the radio show as well. Manufacturing. Apprenticeship. I mean, we were one of the biggest manufacturers around. Talk to us about that, please.
So when I ran in 2019, I always think of that one sign on the Trenton Bridge that says, "Trenton makes and the world takes." I really want to make that mean something again. And myself and, on a bipartisan effort, it's bipartisan and bicameral, we have the manufacturing caucus. And Senator Greenstein, Linda Greenstein, is my co-chair of the manufacturing caucus. We're doing our very best to bring manufacturing back to the state of New Jersey, and not only for the manufacturers that we want to attract to the state of New Jersey, but to allow the manufacturers that are here to not just merely survive, but to thrive. What's amazing is how much Trenton actually does make, and so many people don't realize that. And these manufacturers are incredible innovators, captains of industry, and employers, by the way, which is really important. They're not highlighted enough, and they're totally outside the realm of the political world until a new ridiculous regulation or tax hits them and they say, wait a minute, what happened here? And then we get the phone call. I want to prevent that from happening. I want to be able to highlight the manufacturing industry in the state of New Jersey, how they are good employers, how it's not what you think of as a dirty, filthy factory, which you're breathing in unclean air. It's amazing when you go to the modern manufacturing facility and see it doesn't look anything like what you believe a traditional factory is. And it's a great place of employment. And it's not merely a job, it's a career for advancement. And when they're partnered with our local community colleges, these individuals can rise up in the company and get stackable credentials at a local college where they're not incurring a ton of debt, what we all know of, so we don't have to get into that ridiculous argument about forgiving college debt.
Right, yes, that's another thing we'll talk about. Now here we are, we only got about 2 minutes left, and I want to get these, and these are two big points here. Transportation and budget. So if you can maneuver those the two ways.
Sure, so New Jersey Transit just came before the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, of which I'm a member, and I've been on for now 5 years, if you can believe that. And I call it North Jersey Transit. We have such an issue right now, and look, you live in Atlantic City, what should be a thriving hub of tourism and the gaming industry. Vineland, New Jersey, where I'm from, has a number of individuals who could be gainfully employed in Atlantic City if they could get there. We need better transportation around southern New Jersey, but specifically into your town of Atlantic City. People don't realize even those jobs that are housekeeping are fantastic careers that don't end there, but they come with fantastic benefits for the individual that's working and their families. It would be wonderful if I could transport the individuals that live in the city of Vineland, New Jersey, to your city of Atlantic City and be gainfully employed with great benefits for them and their families, union benefits, as we know, and they could help rise up in the company and have a career, not just a dead-end job.
No, and I hear you. Listen, that would be a fantastic thing. It's one of the things that I always have scratched my head about, whether it's the airport, transportation to Atlantic City, or just what you were talking about, Senator Testa. Listen, we definitely have to have you back here in the fall when the students come back, and we're going to take the whole show and talk about it. Tell folks where they can find you in your office to let them know what if there's anything that they need to get in touch with you with.
Certainly, I know your crew's going to put my number and all of the information on how to contact me. Never hesitate to reach out to me, whether you live in my legislative district or don't. If there's an issue that you have, whether it's with Manufacturing Caucus, the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee. I also sit on Judiciary, so for those lawyers out there that are maybe looking to put on a robe one day, they can contact me as well. And I'd be happy to talk to anybody, and I mean that. Anybody that wants to come talk to me about what's happening, especially in Legislative District 1, but throughout South Jersey. Us South Jersey legislators on both sides of the aisle, I have to say, really stick together and fight for South Jersey because we feel like we're left out under the Gold Dome.
And you know what, we are, though. And thanks again to Senator Michael Testa, New Jersey's first legislative district, for joining us on today's show. Folks, stick around. We'll be right back. Senator Mike, thank you so much. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Welcome back to the show. Our next guest is Grant Tapper, Business Development Associate for Tower Investments and founder of KobraKicks. Grant, welcome to the show, man.
Pleasure to be here, Mike.
So glad to have you here. I know you're a busy young man doing things big time over there at the property, Showboat Hotel Resort on the Atlantic City Boardwalk. Before we get into the meat and potatoes, my friend, tell us a little bit about Grant Tapper and your role with Tower.
Yeah, so I'm a business development associate there at the property. I've been with the company for roughly a year now, and I do a little bit of everything, whether it's marketing, sales, IT, finance, you name it. I'm like a Swiss Army knife. I get it done.
That's what it's all about. And listen, folks, he definitely does get it done. This guy's on the radio show weekly. He's been doing great things. We work together at the property Showboat, and it's a pleasure to work with you. And we're going to talk a little bit about what we have here at the students as well at Stockton University. So listen, we're talking about Showboat Hotel Resort. Talk to us a little bit about what's going on there, the redevelopment of the rooms and what's happening at that property.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Bourbon Tower is getting fully renovated along with the entirety of the property. We're doing big things, whether it's the water park, building the world's largest arcade, and much more to come.
And I also hear that there's a little secret that I don't know if you could divulge with us a little bit when it comes to food and beverage.
Yeah, so we are having some new food and beverage outlets coming to the Showboat. Not too much I can say just yet, but it's really something you got to come check out for yourself.
And the feedback. So the Showboat, prior, a casino hotel. Many years I had some family members that worked there. I used to love going there as well. And again, it's one of my favorite places to go on the entire Atlantic City Boardwalk, anywhere in South Jersey. You know, it's one of those things, Grant, now that we've heard for so many years about family friendly. You know, also adults can have a great time. Touch on that a little bit.
Yes, I mean, I'll tell you, the one thing I really love about the Showboat is getting to come downstairs and see how it's developing into such a family fun entertainment resort. It's not just a hotel, it's not a casino, it's trying to bring back Atlantic City to what it used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the world's playground, and when we talk about playground, Lucky Snake Arcade. Talk to us. One of the biggest in the country, am I right, if not world?
You are correct. So right now we're the largest on the East Coast, but once we get in this newest order, we're going to be the world's largest arcade in the entire world. It's going to be astounding.
And one thing with the arcade as well, with the raceway, and we'll tie this both in there, always new game alerts. I mean, there's everything there from old school, like I used to enjoy, Pac-Man and Space Invaders and whatnot, and some of the new games I also love too. Talk to us about that.
I mean, we have anything from the retro games to a whole pinball gallery, but my favorite section out of everything is the cut to win section. This is where we have games where you have to cut the string, and if you cut the string, all you get to do is win the world's coolest prizes. We're talking about Gucci, Louis Vuitton, the hottest sneakers on the market. You name it, we most likely have it.
It's amazing, again, when you say those type games and cut to win. I was there, and I was watching someone play, and then all of a sudden, cut it, they're walking out with this Gucci bag, and it's like, listen, and there's the lady was screaming like, you know, oh, we got to get this out of here. Just go put it in the room. And I'm like, it was so exciting. Now, folks, sometimes they think that, well, that's not the real deal. No, it is 100% the real deal. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So just yesterday, I'm not even kidding, I saw a man walk up to the machine, his first try, cut the string, and then within 10 minutes, went to another machine and won a Louis Vuitton backpack. He was freaking out. He's like, I've never owned anything like this in my life. I don't even know what to do with it. I was like, yeah, it's, because we do it like no other. We really want to be the most unique, the best. We want to grow it into something that no one else has done.
And listen, I'm going to go off script here too a little bit, Grant. The staff that you have out there on the floor, whether it's the raceway, the arcade, or the water park, which we'll get into. Talk about your staff for a minute too, please.
Our staffing is everything.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, whether it's our director from the water park, Ryan Flynn, or our director for the arcade, Mike Rush. I mean, the work that they put into the property is astounding, and what they do for us is what keeps everything running.
The environment at that racetrack too. Listen, you got to put a helmet on. You go through a little course, folks. It is definitely safe, but also a bit thrilling and fun and whatnot.
Exhilarating.
At the cars too. I mean, about $10,000 a piece. Is that what I heard? I know I'm not supposed to talk money there, but that's what they call. They come from Italy as well.
Directly from Italy. And right now we have them set to 25 miles an hour, but don't get me wrong, those can reach speeds of 45 miles an hour. And the only way you can ever get that is once you keep coming back. We now have a tracker that tracks how many times you've been to the raceway, so we know how experienced of a driver you are. So the more you keep coming back, the more you can keep increasing your speed.
And one of the beautiful things, again, that I'd like to touch on that's kind of behind the scenes and folks don't realize, mechanics. You got folks on there. It's not like you show up to the Lucky Snake Arcade or the raceway and everything or half the vehicles are parked to the side. You have a staff on site doing that job completely all day long.
100%.
Yeah, see, and that what separates you from a lot. I mean, the staff out there, I don't know how the heck you guys do it as far as the employment and whatnot and jobs, and we're going to talk about that as well. Island Water Park. Now, listen, this is one of those projects that we've heard here, again, in Atlantic City for decades. Going to be here, going to be there, the former Atlantic Club, wherever it may be. Bart Blatstein and team, Connor Price, Morgan, and all the others, they did a pivot. There was going to be some talk of the casino, and all good and well. But listen, that water park, watching that, the shovels go in. Just recently was watching a video back in the day on my Facebook page popped, and to see what it is now, to be able to walk through that thing with a hard hat when it was getting halfway, now being able to see, and the throng of people that go into that place. How many slides? Talk to us about that. 125 million plus?
Yeah, so all in all, we're looking at a 120,000 square foot water park, all indoor. So it's year round, 85 degrees. So it's like going to Tulum. It's amazing. You can't beat it. One thing though that people may not know is it actually took 8 years worth of licensing to get that water park rolling. So it's not an overnight project. That was a long-term, almost a decade going into that water park.
Talk to us about that, not to put you on the spot. Now, what does that mean a little bit to the average Joe like I?
Yeah, I mean, getting the permitting, the licensing, the requirements from the city, everything that entailed within the actual licensing process, it was quite difficult to get it from the city.
And when you're talking about where it's positioned, on the beach, or close to the beach, I should say, I mean, the green acres and all that other stuff comes into effect. It's not an easy process. So again, talk to us about the park itself, the slides, the number of them, the potential for more out there in the, I like to call sandlot. But talk to us about that though, because folks don't realize that the amount of different slides, food options and whatnot.
Yeah, so right now we have roughly 12 slides. We have a kids section called the Kids Cove. We have Slide Island for that 7 to 12 range, but then once you get on to that 13 plus to, whether you're 25, you can go down the Barracuda Blaster, the Electric Eel, the Sonic Serpent, or if you want, you can go down the Tidal Racers where you can actually race your friend and see who can get the faster time.
And there it is too. Again, events. Folks can go in there and have birthday parties or any type of parties. Talk about that.
You name it, we've done it. Whether it's in the Paradise Island section where, you're having 500 person to 1,500 person event where you're gonna have, whether it's a Halloween party or just a get together with maybe like FanDuel where they wanna rent out the space and enjoy the entirety of the LED aroma. When it goes in at night, oh my God, it's just breathtaking. You can't beat it.
Listen, there's no place like it. Again, I'm not just saying in Atlantic City. I've been to water parks throughout my years, especially with my daughter Eva back in the day. it is amazing. And again, like you said, at night, it just sparkles like unbelievable. The adult section as well. I mean, you may have touched on it, but talk to us about that too. There's a spot, you know, kids can go play with big sister or aunt and uncle, whatnot, a section, or come with my lady. Talk about that.
Yeah, so Paradise Island, it's a 21+ centric zone where, you know, the parents, they can just relax, grab a drink, go to their cabana, and just enjoy while all the kids are running around, going on the slides, and having an exhilarating time. Not to mention, if you're in the normal side of the park, we have an 80,000 square foot lazy river where you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Listen, it's awesome. Been there, whether it was the all-white party, they had the ribbon cutting, as well as Deshaun Jackson, the Eagles, former Eagles, walking around the place. It's a place that's constantly buzzing. And I encourage you folks, reach out to Island Water Park, Grant Tapper, if you want to throw a party, and very reasonable as well. It's just a place to be. There's nothing like it. And then you got the boardwalk right there in the beach.
If there's one thing, though, that I have to mention about the water park that is my personal favorite, it's the Flow Rider.
There you go, yes.
This is a surf-like simulation where people can actually learn how to ride a surfboard, so to say, but it's all asymmetric where you're learning on a wave simulation rather than the actual waves out in the ocean.
And there's an instructor there as well. You're going to have some lessons or whatnot. Now, one of my favorite things here, KobraKicks. What is all that about?
Oh my God, so let me tell you, KobraKicks is coming to the Showboat Hotel, Atlantic City. I don't have a grand opening date just yet, but we're gonna be opening up our first sneaker and streetwear retail location inside the Showboat, where it's gonna have all your favorite designer kicks, whether it's Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Air Jordans, we're gonna have it all.
Now here it is. One thing I love is kicks. I love sneaks, and that has always been something of my passions. A closet full of them. My fiance goes nuts with them when she's like, "We get rid of some of this stuff." Again, it's all going to be right there. This is retail going to be happening in Showboat Hotel Resort.
Inside the Showboat Hotel. So I mean, whether you're looking at, you know, your normal everyday New Balance or Asics, we're gonna have it all. We're gonna have something for everybody. We're gonna have a brand new section. We're gonna even have used inventory too for the people that wanna have an affordable sneaker. You know, whether you wanna come into the shop and spend $80 or you spend $1,000, you'll be able to do either.
Love it. Listen, that's one of the things, again, whether it's kids, adults, or whatnot, it's been a hot thing for many years, and being able to say that it's in Showboat Hotel Resort coming soon is a plus and a super addition. Again, we got about a minute, Grant, and I know you touched about it on the beginning of the interview. Talk about your relationship. I mentioned Bart and Connor and the others. These guys and gals who've come and they've stayed and stuck it out. I remember a short time ago, I would ride my bike or take a walk down that end of the boardwalk, and it was quiet. It was very quiet before the Hard Rock opened, and Revel, which was now Ocean Casino, and Steel Pier was doing their thing, Resorts were doing, but Showboat was always near and dear. And what you did, when I say you, Bart and team, Tower Investments, staying there, talk about that revitalization a little bit and what that team to work with each day is like.
You know, it's amazing. Learning from these guys, it's really unique. Their set of skills that they have really differs them from anyone else in the community. But the one thing I really have to touch upon is how they're seeing what we call diamond in the rough. They took what was an old casino, undeveloped, it was bought by Stockton University, and after finding out that Stockton couldn't use it for housing, bought it from Stockton, and what we did from there was develop it into the property we see today, a family fun entertainment resort.
Love it. Listen, amount of thanks again to Grant Tapper, Business Development Associate for Tower Investments, and the founder of KobraKicks. This is the guy right here. Thanks for being on the show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Grant, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey folks, it's our belief here on the Mike Lopez TV Show that you, the viewers and our guests, bring the show to life. Thanks to each and every one of you for joining us. To learn more about AC Mike, you can go to acmikeNJ.com, on Facebook AC Mike, Mike Lopez, and LiveWorkPlayAC. On Instagram, you can find me at ACMikeNJ. If you enjoyed watching today's show, you can also listen to my radio show on 1492.3 WOND and WONDradio.com on the World Wide Web. Monday through Friday, noon till 2 p.m. Remember to always live, work, play AC, and I'll see you on the 48.